Hello guys, this is post-league time with Scarra and what should be MarkZ but currently temporary co-host Josh Kim.
What's up, guys? Yeah, we've been waiting for an entire hour for MarkZ to show up, but apparently he got caught up in a meeting.
He got caught up doing something. I don't know what's going on. I'm pretty sure he's being held against his will.
Yeah, so he's probably dead by now.
Until he breaks free from his captors, we have to start the show because if I make you guys wait any longer, you'll hate me. And I don't want you guys to hate me. So without further ado, what is the point of this show? This show is going to break down every single game of North American LCS starting from the very beginning, which is yesterday, Friday. So today's Saturday show, we will be covering 6 best of 3s.
Yep.
First, we'll cover the 2 from Friday. So right on the screen, we're going to cover TSM versus C9.
Everyone's hyped about TSM versus C9.
Oh, okay. This was the most hyped setting because I think on everyone's power rankings, C9 and TSM were both in the top 4.
Yep.
And for most people, they were top 1 and top 2.
Yeah.
And so the idea is, okay, TSM comes in with maybe a little bit of a downgrade. Wild Turtle not going to be as good as Doublelift because, Doublelift not only was, most people consider to be a better player, he also shot called and did a lot of stuff for TSM. Have you ever heard their comms? Their league comms were literally, Bifrost didn't say anything, and then Doublelift, Sven, and Bjork said everything. Yeah. And so it was just like, okay. So he was a core component of their shot calling. We'll get to that later and why that's important. C9, however, a team that replaced Meteos. Meteos, a jungler that didn't do actually too badly at Worlds. Even though he had like that one Lee Sin game or 2 Lee Sin games which weren't very good, I thought he did okay. Yeah. And generally, they replaced him with a new rookie. The next Dardoch was the rumors. I could say the rumors might have been kind of true. I think contracts popped off.
Dude, he went off on Lee those games. Like, oh my goodness.
So the very first game happens, and what happens in the first game is I just think it's just a tragedy. I look at the draft, I'm just like, oh my god, what happened? Yeah. And so a lot of times, right now, the current 10-ban system or 5 bans per team is that once you get through the first 3 bans, you're picking something and you're banning. You usually just ban out a role. So the most common ban right now in LCS is you pick Ashe, first pick in one of the first 3 picks, and you ban Jhin and you ban Varus. And what that does is you remove the top utility AD carry picks that aren't Ashe, and Ashe has a really good matchup against Caitlyn. And then what are you left with? Either Caitlyn or
Ezreal or something?
Ezreal, or maybe a relatively B tier pick or C tier pick like Kalista. So what happened the first game? TSM chooses to pick Kalista. That was their choice. I thought that their draft led them open to be counterpicked in 4 of their respective 5 roles, which I thought was really bad. Like I just thought that their strategy especially during the second phase of the draft was that, hey man, we're gonna ban two top laners. So I think they ended up banning. They first picked like Maokai and banned like Nautilus and the other tank top laner. And I don't think that does anything. I don't think banning out top laners does anything to the pool because you either take like Jace or you take like Trundle to beat the other tank, or you can even take stuff like Illaoi or Singed, something that I don't think it's possible to ban out too many of the top laners to make it to matter. You can throw one ban, but if your strategy is banning around both and you still get counterpicked in like almost all of your positions, I think overall your draft didn't do too well. Right. So from the very beginning, I thought the TSM versus C9 draft didn't really make sense. C9 had a much better plan going in than TSM, which banned the ADs, and it forced Turtle onto this really wild pick. And the worst thing was, not only did they force him on the wild pick, so Ashe just, I think, beats or matches every other AD carry remaining on the board. Also, they got their support counter picked. And so I think they ended up playing into, they picked into Zyra. So their support was given last pick to be able to counter pick. And so it's because, and the support was only able to get last pick because they showed everything else before. Like their first rotation was the entire top side, like Maokai, Syndra, Rek'Sai. Okay. And C9 was able to take Ashe, Kha'Zix, Fizz. And so they essentially like already matched 2 of the 3 things that they picked with respective counter picks. They got the Fizz counter pick, and then they were able to take Shen as well to maybe kind of work with the Fizz to shut down Bjergsen even more. Right. And I think generally they just got outdrafted quite hard. But you can win a bad draft. Like there's no real bad if you draft, you're gonna get out drafted at some point during your thing. But generally, I thought that their draft was really bad, and that they had, especially their bot lane, just got counterpicked in both positions, and so it leads to some disgusting pressure from that bot lane. If you saw what happened during that game, what ended up happening? C9 threw Ashe ulti on cooldown bot lane with MF ulti to force sums. That created so much pressure, and on top of that, like generally all Contras had to do was make sure that bot lane couldn't get turned. When they were creating the kind of pressure, and he just had to run around, and it felt like when you're watching Sven, he just has to hold like the lanes because they're not doing too hot. Outside of ᵐᵉ, which I think had a pretty good series overall, he was, I think, the best performing player. Everyone else on TSM didn't play too well, and that generally when everyone else doesn't play too well, especially a player that's well known for being like the best in his region or the best in his role, like bjergsen and Sven, which I consider to be probably the two best players in their respective roles in LCS. Generally, that just means that there's a synergy issue. There's a problem within the team. And so it seemed like they just didn't know what they were doing a lot of the portions of the game. And it feels like Sven and bjergsen shot calling, if they're being pressured and they have to shot call, they can't do much with it. Or if the AD gets pressured, like maybe nothing really works.
So do you think, sorry, just to interrupt, so do you think like if Doublelift had still been on the team, the outcomes of this game could have been very different because of that synergy issue?
Absolutely. Not only that, I also think that Doublelift would have seen like the draft, because I don't think Doublelift wants to ever put himself in like such a terrible draft position. Mm-hmm. But maybe not. Honestly, like when you talk about draft, a lot of that is on the coach, correct? Yeah. And sometimes you have to draft suboptimally because your players just don't play certain champions that well. Right. And so maybe that's a problem. But on top of that, it just feels like Double is a better player, but most importantly, he makes the team work a lot better. So like, yeah, maybe his shot calling isn't optimal in a lot of situations. Maybe he makes bad decisions, like face taking a Victor ulti, you know, and cost him a Worlds game. But even with that in mind, it was the shot calling that made them go 17-1, right, during the split. And so I think that above all else, TSM needs someone to assist them and make sure that their shot calling didn't fall behind. And it seemed like they didn't really know what to do. And so even though C9 made some hilariously bad errors, like I'm talking like they just like kind of, they had one situation during the series where like one person got caught, which caused another person to get caught, and then like two people tried to defend the tower and they both died, and then TSM literally just ran it down mid. And I was just like, wow, this is really how TSM is going to win this game. Oh, it was literally the against MF, where Smoothie made the ridiculous ulti, where Smoothie just gets caught at the very edge by Syndra E when he's trying to defend the tower. It was complete BS that it hit him, but whatever, it did, and they were able to get two middle towers off of it. That's the kind of stuff that you're just like, that's the type of mistake that you just can't make at a really high level. And C9 was able to make that and still win the game because TSM just didn't play that well, honestly. And I don't think C9 played super well either, but I think they cemented themselves as a team that I expected them to be, which was they brought in a new rookie who played really well, like Acadian. He was very aggressive. He was in good spots at the right times, and especially the second game, his Lee Sin game, phenomenal. He just went
crushed it. Yeah, he went crazy that game.
Yeah.
To talk about expectations, like obviously you had said that TSM and C9 both look like contenders for playoffs. Does that opinion change after seeing their first series? Like,
absolutely not. Like especially seeing the rest of the series, they're still like my number 1 and 2. Okay. Like all the TSM fans, it's so funny. Whenever I read comments on them, they're just like, TSM is dead, dude. They're dead. They're never coming back. I'm just like, dude, they lost one best of 3, and they had like one really close game against a team that what most people would say would be the second place team. Mm-hmm. And so it's the very start of the season. The best thing about, I would say, all the really top teams, the teams that you know are going to go to the playoffs, should just be working on trying to make themselves the best teams. Like wins early matter a lot more. Like, okay, every win counts the exact same. So whether you win against the worst team in the league or the best team in the league, or win at the very beginning or win at the very end, they all count the same. And so teams that want to sneak into playoffs, teams that are not that good, but maybe can pick it up, want to care a lot about the early games in the season, because like the better teams like Liquid, COG, TSM, and C9, which seem like probably the 4 best teams right now, are going to want to try to make the best team by playoffs time.
Right.
And so they're willing to drop games to test stuff, to make sure whether they're thinking works or not. However, teams like FlyQuest, teams like Envy can't afford to give up games.
Right.
This is like the time during the season where they want to be like scrapping at every single win. And so that's why I'm not too worried about TSM. Them dropping a game, maybe they were trying something. They have to be trying something, right? The ᵐᵉᵐᵉ build, which looked really weird, that came from Reddit. By the way, Reddit literally lost TSM that game. That build, I didn't think that build was very good.
So TSM fans should just blame Reddit for that.
I mean, be like the players, dude.
All
Hate Reddit as well. But the real deal is that I don't think the loss mattered too much. I think that TSM can bounce back from it quite easily, quite calmly. They just, again, have stuff they want to be sorting out. They're not a team that should be worried about making playoffs. They will 100% make playoffs. Maybe they don't make a top 2, but they will make playoffs. And so their focus should strictly be, how do I become better at the fastest rate possible? They don't, who cares if they lose? If they lose the next game tomorrow, sure, it might suck for them. It might be really bad. But I think their level of play is good enough to where they will 100% make playoffs. They just want to be focusing on being the best.
Okay, well, let's talk about the next series because it's between two teams who people haven't put in like their top 4 teams, right? So let's talk about Fox versus P1 because both those teams have had huge roster changes this season, and I don't think many people will have them in their top 4 for the split. So let's talk about that series. I'm gonna move that.
Oh, this is our production right here. Just wait for it. Watch it.
Yeah, there we go.
Fantastic.
Boom! Fox versus P1. Let's do it.
I think that I had no expectations going into this series. So for P1, for Fox, I had heard Looper's English is really, really good, like super good. And so I think it's going to be an upgrade in the top lane position, which I think he's better than the KFO. Mm-hmm. And I think that their support, they replaced was it Big? I think Gates a fairly underrated support. Yes, he gets caught in like dumb positions like the game that you just saw. However, I think that generally overall he plays very well. If you watch how he played, especially during that Kench game where he tried to save Keith, he played really well throughout the series. The big question marks for me going into the series were how good is Arrow, how good is Ryu, and how will Acadian perform? Those 3 things. So what did I find out immediately? Wow, Acadian's a superstar.
Our god.
No, I think Echo Fox, okay, so the way I see Froggen is Froggen needs a jungler that will enable aggression for him.
Yeah.
He's great at being able to follow up aggression. He just wants, the way I see it is that if your jungler can isolate the other jungler, Froggen will perform his job great. Yeah. Because mechanically, he's a superstar. He's really good. And if you have direction, if you have a way to shot call, he can follow up that very well, at least fairly well. So do I think he's like an all-star player, someone who can solo carry his team? No. But I don't think he needs to be if he has the right team around him. Right. And I think what he really needed is a jungler. I've never thought Frog was ever able to perform with a jungler who was even average. He needed a jungler who could perform very well. Yeah. Especially in terms of aggression. And so they bring in Acadian. He's great. I think he got first blood almost every game he played today. Yeah. And then I just think he allows for this type of early aggression. But he even said in his interviews, he doesn't want to be one of those new rookies who are afraid to make plays. He wants to be aggressive. And I think that's perfect.
For Froggen in particular, right?
Exactly. So I think just by having a Kitty on the team, Froggen gets a lot less pressure put to him, and he plays better by contrast.
Yeah, I think, Froggen is the type of player who will swing and hit a home run as long as he has a jungler who will put that ball on the tee and let him swing, right?
And maybe he has some bad plays, like later down we'll talk about his TF.
Well, that's
the TF. Right. But for the most part, I think he performs fairly well for his position. Like, I'm not saying he's a role player, but he might be close. Yeah. And then let's go over to the P1 side. Yeah. How good is Ryu? I don't know. How will we function outside of HK? I have no idea. Right. How good is Arrow? Wait a sec.
Is that him?
Oh my god!
It's here. He's here. Holy moly. Okay.
Well, I fucking out of my chair.
All right, guys. It was nice hanging out with you guys. I'm passing the torch over to MarkZ.
Hello, chat.
Hello, guys. I'm now joined by my real co-host, MarkZ, who was unfortunately stuck fighting
the evil corporation.
No, it's actually aliens. Corporate aliens.
Yeah. So all of it.
85 minutes late, MarkZ, ladies and gentlemen.
I would like to apologize for being late. We'll figure something out where I can hopefully get here sooner or something.
Okay, but I just talked about TSM versus C9. We had to start the show a little bit early because you were, again, a little bit tardy. Do you have anything you want to say about the first series?
Honestly, that's probably the series I watched the least this weekend because I was doing something else during that time. I was shooting for something for collegiate. So I probably missed the most of that series than anything else. So I'm fine with you guys being done with that series. All I'll say is that people are like freaking out, like TSM Sky is falling, but like I didn't think it was that bad. Like, yeah, they lost to C9, who's probably the best team in the league. Like, I expected them to lose. Like, what do you want me to say?
That's exactly my thing. I'm like, I thought that TSM could afford to lose games because whatever happens, they will be in playoffs.
Right.
And I made the point to point out that lower ranked teams like FlyQuest, Envy, need to grab wins whenever they can. So any wins they can steal, especially early in the season, will mean a lot. While these teams just want to focus on improving to be the best team.
Yeah, it's like a Patriots. Like, they're going to be in the playoffs. Like, you almost don't watch the regular season. Like, TSM fans, you guys are going to be in the playoffs. You're going to get into the semifinals. It's just if you're in the third or fourth place match or the first place match.
Exactly.
All right. And in terms of actual analysis of the games, I don't have any.
Oh, my God.
I watched it. Contracts look better. I heard he was like a cheeser in the challenger scene. He's obviously better than just a cheeser, which is good to see. But
it's okay. I broke down the games quite competently to the point where my temporary co-host, had to stop me. So
he was like, Jesus, shut up.
Exactly. So now we're moving on to Fox versus P1, and I just talked about how I had no expectations for Ryu or Arrow, and I needed Fox. I needed Acadian to pop off to enable Froggen, and we had just moved to P1. So do you have anything to say about these teams before we move into the games?
I think low key Ryu actually looks like a really good import, like one of the better ones. I actually think he actually looks like one of the best imports. Like the second series, which we'll get into, the last one versus Dig. I actually thought he looked a little underwhelming there. I didn't think he'd like get shit on by Keen a couple times. But outside of like that game against like the quirky Azir, which honestly, like there were a million. I'm in the wrong series, so let me go back. So I thought Ryu was a really really good mid lane pickup for them, and I'm excited to see what he does the rest of the way. And other than that, why don't you turn the volume down? What do you? How'd you work with this guy for a whole hour? I can't even take him for 5 minutes.
When he doesn't leave the couch, nothing bad happens. But as soon as he leaves...
Get him back on the couch!
I think the way I see Ryu is, in lane, he's okay. Like sometimes he solo kills, sometimes he gets solo killed. So I'd say he's about average in laning phase. However, he has this X factor when he team fights. He actually sometimes lands these ridiculous ultis, or he team fights very well. I think that's what makes him good.
Yeah, like you said, even in team fights, sometimes he just gets like picked off right at the beginning. But I think whereas like some players, they go from like really bad to like good, he goes from like really good to like a little below average. And like what his game impact's gonna be.
I feel like he's consistently good. Yeah. You see his Lissandra game, he found the target that he needed to kill, he ultied it, bam, they're dead.
Who cares about those 2 kills in lane?
Yeah. You see the Ori game, he ulties, bam, they're dead. Like he has the team fight potential. He's really, really good at it. And that's, honestly, I didn't realize he was that good. And he fits in. This is his first weekend. I think he's been doing pretty well.
And I was at the studio, I was talking to Michael Moore, who works with the team. I think he's the owner or the CEO or something. And he was saying that even though Arrow's English isn't actually good, a lot of Koreans, when they come over, a lot of imports, are not confident in their English, so they just don't talk that much, even if like the grammar's bad or whatever. Arrow's the opposite. He like doesn't care if he sounds like an idiot as long as he's getting like his words out there. So he's very talkative.
That's really good.
Kind of like a GBM type, whereas like you see a lot of like Koreans come over and they're very like bashful about their English. They don't want to like sound wrong. Like a Piglet was like that. Oki was the same way from my understanding. And I think that's a really good thing for the team where like even though they have 2 imports, one has lived in Europe for a long time and is used to working and has good English, and then Arrow isn't ashamed of his. So like I think that they have really high, I shouldn't say really high upside, but of the import teams, I actually think they're pretty good. Okay.
Moving into this series, what'd you like about it? What'd you think about it?
Honestly, like other than Acadian, like Echo Fox is so like...
I'm gonna actually dig through my notes to see.
I don't have notes on this series. I have notes on the other series.
What, you didn't think this series was worth writing notes about?
I know that they have really fucked up jungle priority. Echo Fox, they picked Rek'Sai into Rengar when there's like everything else up, and then they picked Rek'Sai into Kha'Zix with only Rengar banned, I believe. So like, they like over prioritize Rek'Sai and think it's like fine into a lot of stuff. When I think most people think that Rek'Sai, the only top tier it's good into, really is like Lee Sin, and then it's like fine into anything that's not Rengar Kha'Zix. But they seem to like keep putting Acadian in shitty jungle matchups where he comes out ahead.
Yeah, that's actually really funny. That's why I think Acadian's the superstar of the team.
Yeah.
He's been playing really well, and I thought maybe one hit wonder, maybe just on the first day. Today, he showed up even harder. He's solo carrying games.
5 first bloods total.
Yeah, 5 first bloods. That's insane.
100%.
This guy is unbelievable, actually, as a player. And I think he's the type of guy who, I said before, enables Froggen to be good. Because Froggen always needs a jungler to be dominant, and then he could... Because I think Froggen excels best in a 1v1 situation. And so if your jungler has the lead early, Froggen can go through like his hardest moments into being good. But I don't know what you think.
I want to ask you about that LeBlanc build against Lissandra. He gets the one where he gets the 2 early kills. Well, I guess Acadian gets the kills, but he gets the 2 kills in a row. And then I still think he picks up like an early Negatron into like this weird Abyssal thing. And then he also had a Ludens or something. Did you see his build that game?
I think he went Abyssal Ludens, yes.
Yeah. What did you think of that?
I thought that was bad.
Okay.
So like, I don't mind the early MR pickup, but I think that, especially if you're against Lissandra early, I think Ludens is a really bad item right now. Most mid laners have moved from Ludens into building Leandries.
Yeah.
Because no one gets locked in anymore. No one gets the extra MR, and it's just really, really good. It functions very, very well. And so I think that, it's just solid. And usually what happens if you build Abyssal is I like when people sit on the Negatron and skip it for a better item.
Right, yeah, that was my problem with it, was like he should snowball that game and go into like better items right away, because that matchup in the lane, like I understand like LeBlanc, Lissandra, both of them go the early Abyssal to like not like just negate each other's kill pressure. But once he's already like won the lane with the gank help from Acadian, I think he should have looked at...
I think the way I saw him lane was I thought that he laned really poorly with the lead initially, and then during the mid game he played really well. And they kind of petered off.
Well, he got that triple kill in that team fight.
No, not even that. Just the way he harassed in lane was like perfect. He got chunks on Ryu without even taking damage. I was like, wow, dude, he turned it up. He was actually disgusting. And then like the way that matchup is played is you either take Ignite to snowball early, or you take Cleanse so that you can team fight throughout the game.
Yeah.
And so he didn't take Cleanse, so I thought that building defensive is actually not bad. But he just wasn't able to... I mean, I think they have bigger problems than just him.
Yeah, I mean, we can get to the elephant in the room here with Keith. I see Fractal in chat wanting some Keith attention. So I don't know if you saw this, but today I had like an 80 carry tier list, and like it was
I did. You put Keith at the very bottom.
So I had, if they had red next to it, it was like chance to move down, and so there were 4 people in the D tier, and I had Keith in the D tier, lowest tier, with a chance to move down. He has like a chance to move into his own category
of E. It's like
F. No, there's no E. You go D to F. So like Keith is pushing the boundaries on the bottom, going towards the F, and like today's game on top of the series we're talking about from Friday. Oh, but yeah, that Lissandra fight where he just like ults right in front of his
my. Okay, so I watch these games with Yuna, especially on Fridays. I'm not here with anyone. I watch them at my house with base Yuna on the couch next to me. When Keith ultied on Jin right there, literally Yuna was about to have an aneurysm. He was so mad, and I was mad too because I was like, "Wait, what are you doing?" Oh, because the worst thing is, if you watch Gates play, Gates plays great. He like saving Keith left and right. He's like, Keith, buddy, don't worry, dude. I got you. If you're in trouble, I got your back. He just eats Keith on their first initiative, spits out Keith. What does Keith do immediately? I'm just gonna ult you right now. Do 4 shots down the wait. This Lissandra claw is getting really close to him. Oh shit!
Like it's so sad because like that fight starts with like a pretty good flank by Phoenix 1, and then like Echo Fox actually disengages it really well, partially because Gate gets Keith out of there.
Yes.
And then Keith's mindset, I'm pretty sure, is like, I'm out of the danger, time to ult.
Exactly.
It's like, no, dude, you gotta walk back like another 5 steps.
Yeah, so I even think he could have hugged the team fight a little bit to be able to just auto attack.
Well, if you want to throw the autos, but it looked like P1 was like, oh fuck, our engage failed, let's disengage.
Yes.
And then you want to do like the shooting fish in a barrel up the lane thing, which I get, but he was still in range of the reinitiate.
Yeah, so he did, whatever happens, like whether he wants to go forward in auto or backwards in ulti, he did the worst option, which was stay still in ulti and kill himself, essentially. And so it was just really bad. I've been really unimpressed with Keith, and Keith is a person that I've been wanting to watch.
I love Keith actually as a person. Yeah,
I actually think Keith is great. And I had rated Keith above other ADs coming into this split. However, his recent performance, I think he's been playing the worst of any AD in LCS.
It's not even like close. That's,
he's
that's
been,
not like a discussion. That's a fact.
He's been playing really.
It's
bad.
on Wikipedia already. Yeah. It's a fact. It was like peer reviewed. It's been accepted. But one thing I'll say, not in his favor, but just in Echo Fox's team fighting as a whole, there was a clip that we listened to where it was like the fight where Froggen got the triple kill near Baron, where like he was off on the flank or whatever, and like Froggen doesn't say anything the whole team fight as he's like playing this team fight out, and no one says anything. And like one thing good teams do is they actually like communicate threats, and like Afro's really good at this about communicating like the biggest threat.
He's
to
like,
his
watch this guy,
this guy, look at him. Nothing like that. So like if Keith, God love him, he should know not to ult there anyways. But once he makes that mistake, Lissandra throws her E. Guarantee you, no one said shit about like watch Lissandra. That team has no team fight communication, which. Let's say, Keith struggles with something. His team is not covering up his weaknesses, and I think that's a problem with Echo Fox as a whole, where like they don't make each other play better and like cover each other's strengths.
And that might be it. So I thought that with Looper coming in, him having really good English, he would be a positive to his team. And I think overall he has been.
Right.
But what was Looper really well known for? He was well known for having some of the best TPs ever. And people were just like, oh, he's just being micromanaged by Mada, whatever. And to some extent, it probably wasn't just Mada, but the whole team communicated way better. If you saw some of his TPs in those games, he played Nahus that one TP.
Where he just was behind the whole team and just tried to run through them.
He tried to run through them, but got Lissandra ulti and just died. And then they went 1 for 4 there. And I was just like, oh my god.
Yeah.
That was horrific. You can already tell, dude, their comms are not clean. I think right now, one of the biggest things Echo Fox needs to focus on is making sure, building the teamwork, but really, like, the comms are important. I didn't realize they didn't call targets, but every single team, you should have seen Stixday when he first joined CLG. I'm telling
just, like, silent?
No, it's just that, like, because when you join, when you're playing a competitive team, you don't know what to watch for initially. So people tell you and you learn over time. That's how you learn how to do stuff, right? People first tell you, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this. Be careful of this. Repetition creates patterns in your play.
Yeah.
And so if you don't have that kind of thing to sit on, I can't blame Keith. I mean, I can blame Keith for playing bad. Keith, but I can understand to some extent why he's not performing that well if his teammates aren't watching out for him like that.
Right, and the one thing I'll say, the last thing, is just that as good as Acadians early and mid-game have been, his team fighting is not super impressive to me, and I think it falls into that same kind of category where, like, there's probably no communication going on, so he just is, like, doing what looks best to him as opposed to, like, Looper's like, I'm CCing this guy, and like, I got this follow-up.
I think in general, I like Echo Fox more than they were before. Mainly because they're a more fun team to watch. They're proactive early, and so even if they can make terrible plays, but they're making plays, right? I can stand to watch them. I still back my initial statement. They're the team I'm going to be cheering for.
Really?
Yes. CLG, Echo Fox, and FlyQuest. 3 teams I'm looking for this split.
Damn, you got some low teams to watch.
What?
I mean, like CLG, they lost to TLG. Like, what if CLG is 5th, and then like Echo Fox is 8th or 9th, and then like FlyQuest is 8th or 9th? You got all bottom tier teams.
You want to talk about this? You want to talk about this CLG versus TL right now?
Yeah, let's go to it.
All right, we're skipping the CLG versus TL.
Yeah. Let me get my notes up because I got notes starting today from my time on the desk.
Let me get my notes out for this.
So we got the 2-0. One thing I'll say, just starting with draft in both games, I actually think both teams showed that they like understand the new draft phase pretty well.
Yes, I really liked as opposed to CLG versus TSM, where TSM just took it in the first game. They're in the draft,
and a lot of the lower tier teams are like, oh shit, I just like picked myself into like an 80 carry pinch or something. Yeah, and then they don't trade effectively. I think both these teams generated advantages at like different points.
Like a lot of the worst drafts are drafts where both your AD and your support get counterpicked. Right, and then your bot lane just doesn't exist and you just lose.
Yeah.
And so you'll see that a lot of the times.
Yeah, it's so sad. Like someone will like take Ashe in like the first rotation on red side, and then the other team won't take one of the utility 80 carries, and then red side gets the double ban and the first pick again, and they just like double ban Varus Jhin.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the most common
thing. Yeah, you're either on Ezreal or you're on Kalista. If you're on Kalista, you're probably trolling.
Yeah. I assume you talked about. Did you hear Turtle? Sorry to backtrack for 1 second. Turtle had the lowest damage in the entire game in his Kalista game, lower than the supports. He was 10th in damage dealt that game to champions. It's
all right, dude.
Not a big deal.
Yeah, not a big deal. I'm just saying in the Immortals game, Cody's son, when he was being supported by MF had the most damage on of any player on the team, and Cody's son had 12 to 15k damage on in 50 minutes.
That's impressive in a bad way. Like I'm impressed at how bad that is.
All right, what do you gotta say about the series?
So starting with like TL's like with Reignover, I actually thought he looked pretty good in the early game. Some of his like mechanics in like mid late game getting caught out was pretty shit. Actually, I shouldn't even say early game because early game was really good game 1.
And then, game 2 he just kind of
So game 1 he goes top. He gets a flash out of Darshan to set Lorlo up to be in control of that lane, and then Piglet already gets control of bot lane on his own by just being better laner and like just trading the shit out of CLG. And then when CLG tries to punish that with like an all-in, he's already there to stop that. So then they get 2 for 1 bottom, and then the rest of CLG just trolls and like he's like, I have the package, I should go in, and then they just kill him. And then Smithy goes in, they kill him, and it's a 4 for 1.
Okay, let's talk a little bit about the draft. I think CLG didn't realize how strong Lulu was as a counterpick to MarkZ. I did not realize either, but the reason why MarkZ is so good is, so what makes Lulu so good into MarkZ? What makes MarkZ good in lane? Void lanes do a bajillion damage.
Yeah.
If you get hit with 2 void lanes, they run. You have to run. You cannot even auto the void lanes, because if you auto the void lanes, you're getting hit with void lanes plus them. You just lose.
Yeah.
So what makes Lulu really good? She autos once and kills the void lane because her picks is multiple attacks. Right. So right now, she negates Malzahar's biggest thing.
Yeah, and she doesn't actually even need to click the minions. She can click Malzahar. Malzahar spawns the minion, and the picks just solos.
Yeah.
The
so
void lane.
So like actually, I didn't realize this, and TL probably realized really early that saving counter pick for bot lane is really important, because Piglet like needs to have a good lane setup for them to be able to be effective. And so that's why I thought the first game, oh my god, CLG didn't realize it until then. They opted for this MarkZ and then realized they got counterpicked hard. So they couldn't control the lane because of the counterpick, in my opinion. Yeah. And probably because Matt and Piglet were playing really well today as well. But I just thought that the Lulu pick, really good. Much better than I thought.
Yeah. And then it works at 6-2 with just like the ult and the shield. It's like Malzahar, you're all concerned about like single target, lockdown and kill. Lulu's the exact opposite, all single target, keep him alive. So just like in that way, it works up, like lines up really well. The rest of the draft, I thought it was kind of weird how CLG took Corki pretty early, or not early, but like with very few mid bans. You saw like LeBlanc ban, and then they banned out Echo themselves, and that was it. And then they also banned Kalista in the first rotation. It felt like they didn't, like, their draft was just like a little wonky where they weren't quite playing.
I thought they were just testing stuff for their draft. Their draft seemed really weird. Like, when I saw the Kalista, I saw the Echo, I'm like, why would you ban Echo? Like, is Golden Glue's Echo like, holy shit, dude, this guy is going to stomp us on Echo. No, if anything, I think Huki's probably the better Echo player between the two of them. I think
Huki's probably one of the best Echo players in
the
name.
Exactly. And so when I see the Echo ban, I'm just like, what are they doing here? And so that's why the first game for me, as soon as Huki does the, like,
package in
the package suicide bot lane, which by the way, that's Lulu hit 6 literally on the first kill during that. So as soon as Lulu hits 6, there's no way you can package in to get that kill. It's terrible.
Yeah.
Really bad play. Put into the Smithy follow-up, awful. I think so. As soon as that happened, the game was over.
The game should be over, and I actually think TL did like a good job.
Yes.
Not like closing the game out, but not like great.
I thought one of TL's biggest problems is that they suck at closing games out.
Which is weird. So like when they had Dardoch, like he was just too aggro. So like Reignover gets a double kill in that bot play. If that's Dardoch, he's like in the other team's jungle trying to constantly fuck him as opposed to playing smart, because like Dardoch wants to like shit on people. And I think Reignover played it like slower but smarter. But then once they got their first Baron and then they took the bot in him, everything after that just sucked out of TL. Like in terms of closing the game, where like Reignover's getting picked, it was.
Okay, I personally thought Reignover's like mid to late game was kind of really bad in both games. So I guess we could just move on to the second game, which I thought was an actual game and not the first game, which was they suicided.
Yeah, I mean.
So CLG first game gets a letter grade of like a D from me, but it's a series. It's not like a race. So the second game happens, and what happens in that game? Well, CLG got a great draft in my opinion. Like a draft that they could do a lot with. They got the top lane on a counter pick. They got their mid lane able to counter pick. They got their bot lane. They set up their bot lane to counter pick. They made sure their bot lane 100% was able to get the picks they wanted so that they can contest bot lane. And they got Smithy on Lee again, right?
Yeah, it was Lee.
And so I was like, oh, this draft is perfect. If they're going to win a game, it's this game.
Well, so my only problem with the draft is like they're gonna lose late game so hard to TL because they have no tank. They're like they get outscaled. Their engage is terrible.
Well, 100%. And so their win condition when you're making this comp, when you're playing this comp, you know your win condition is let's split push.
Snowball, split push. Yeah,
exactly. The one thing I have to say is ᵐᵉᵐ this series played phenomenal.
I think so. I said, hold on. Time out for 1 second. I said ᵐᵉᵐ might be top 3 this split under like a couple caveats where like he has synergy with Reignover and like a couple of the Korean import tops don't look that good. Like, I don't know, Looper and Flame so far. But like I said, he could potentially be top 3. And if you look at the first day, which is like, pretty short-sighted to look at one day, but I put him top 3 right now. Like you put Impact, Someday, and probably ᵐᵉᵐ.
Oh my god. Okay, so
what
makes ᵐᵉᵐ good? Let's just focus on the second game because the first game doesn't count.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Well, first game he got the player of the game for.
Come on, dude.
I mean, he tanked. He was a tank and his team was winning.
He literally started the game. He was Maokai and they got like a 0 for 4 bot lane. Like that was disgusting. Whatever. Second game that actually they started behind. What was so good about that? One, he was even in CS in a counter matchup. Jace versus a tank. The tank should never be even CS. He was even CS by 100 CS, which is amazing. Actually, if you ever see anyone else take the Jace matchup, top tier players take the Jace matchup, the Jace is ahead 40 CS by 100 CS. He's 100, the tank player is like 65, 70. And that's what should have happened because honestly, you see the pressure that Soul and Smithy had? Yeah. Insane pressure.
The fact that Reignover went up there to try and help a little bit and just died and it just made the whole situation worse because now you can't go anywhere near topside, but the fact that he was able to not fall behind horribly is like the only reason that TL didn't lose that game because if the tank ends up underpowered relative to like the rest of the game, you're so fucked because it opens up the dives. They don't need to be scared. But when you have this front line with like an Ori ball and like all this stuff backing him up, TL's comp actually is really hard to like end against.
Yeah, exactly. ᵐᵉᵐ was literally one of the only reasons they were able to win the game, and I think he should get props for that because he played phenomenally. In the entire series, but first game I don't really count that much. I'm serious.
I mean, like his team was winning and he was a tank. He was Maokai.
Exactly. Okay, but I will say the second game he's the reason they won. Like if I had to give an MVP, bam, it's him instantly. I will say though, you don't get even CS on that matchup if only one person's playing well.
Right. Like,
Darshan played badly that game. I think going to mid game he played pretty well, but then he just had these situations where either comms are bad or whatever, he just kept getting picked at bad spots. And it wasn't like he got picked because, oh shit, no, I got picked because the Twitch showed up. That was in one situation bot lane. It was just like he would just die too much. Like he just died way too much. Like, and just the whole team itself had like one death here, one death there. Afremu stepped up too far on the top lane play after he got the tower. He died. And that was why Liquid was able to slowly crawl their way back in. And I think that they just don't look clean. I'm not too worried for CLG because I still think they're going to be top 4. Like I think they'll be at the tail end.
That's what I was going to ask. Is like, where do you after this? What do you think of the two teams? Because I think TL looked good, but I also think CLG looked a little off. Like, I thought their draft was both games were like all right with a couple question marks, and like if they fix that and like they actually end that game that they snowball. This should be a 3-game series. Like TL should lose that game if Darshan snowballs topside a little harder.
Yes, and the thing is, Darshan was able to mess up so much, and they were still almost able to win the game. No, I'm serious.
Yeah, well, right, because the Brilliant Soul just literally shit on Reignover every time.
Like, what was Reignover's end score on that game? Actually, he was like 0-7, right?
I think he picked up a kill or two in like the last team fight resetting.
All right, he's at the point where people call them medios, like straight up like.
Oh shit, I missed that.
No, it was bad. So he didn't do too hot, partially because he got camped, and partially because I don't think he just plays Kha'Zix that well. That might be something that people look at because if Kha'Zix is top tier, if you set Reignover behind, is this going to be a consistent thing? Yeah. I don't know. I will say though, COG's level 1, brilliant, really smart, where they take the power from Jace and just like take the blue.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Oh, what ended up happening was. They just 2-man invaded the blue buff. And so the Kha'Zix went to start at blue, and then Jace and Lee Sin just walked up and took the blue. So Kha'Zix got delayed really badly, and then of course, his route is really awkward to get back top, and they slam him when he tries. I think COG conceptually played the game really well, and then just execution-wise, wasn't very good.
Yeah, I mean that was a game where like you drafted with the early game strategy, and you didn't snowball hard enough, despite like
getting a Baron, being up like 7, I think it was like 12k at some point. They're being up like a lot of gold.
I remember we've had a gold graph and it stopped at 9 and it looked like the gold graph went like off. Like it stopped counting. It was more than 9. I don't know what it was. But
Yeah. And so I think, I'm not too worried. The biggest things from the series I want to take away was how does TL look inside their team? It was like, how does Piglet look? Can you play utility ADs? He did. It was pretty good.
Yeah, that was my concern.
And then he played Twitch like normal Piglet. He played pretty well. And I thought that they did a really good job of playing around, at least at the very least, I thought Lorlo, in situations where Reignover shits the bed, like he doesn't play that well, Lorlo played well the entire series, and he's one of the X factors I had going in.
Yeah, just on the bot lane really quick, I was a little disappointed in 6A ᵐᵉᵐᵉ because they lost the first game, and then the second game they went even with a ton of bans. So they super targeted they pinched the utility AD carry, so Piglet's forced onto Twitch, and they have Ashe Zyra, which is so annoying to play Twitch into, and he was even CS.
Yeah,
Karma helps, but you gotta have a CS lead.
I thought that was so bad as well. So two lanes were because in any other draft, you would look at that draft and be like, CLG won, because if they could play the champions, like
if you told me Soul went off in that draft, they won, of course, because he would go to the lanes and snowball them, but they didn't actually snowball.
But even then, they get so much early control. They have 3 winning lanes, right? And so what do you do as a jungler when you have 3 winning? The other jungler runs into your jungler and you're just boned.
Yeah.
So I at least think they win the early game super hard. But what ends up happening is both the top and the bot lane don't win that hard. If you told me Twitch went even CS or within 6 of Ashe Zyra,
very specific.
I was
one wave.
I was like, Jesus,
if
man.
you're not down more than 1 lead.
Yeah, no, that's impressive. Usually what happens is when you get AD pinched like that, you take Ashe and you take Jhin and Varus off the table. What do you have to play? You play Ezreal and you don't play Kalista, you play Caitlyn.
I was gonna say Caitlyn. Yeah.
No one played Caitlyn, but Piglet's really good at Caitlyn.
Yeah.
And so I was expecting that, but he was like, "Let me just hard carry on Twitch." And I thought that was kind of like a ballsy pick. Honestly, Caitlyn would have done its job, but Twitch carries harder, right? And so I thought they needed at least the even out lane from Caitlyn to even be able to contest them. But they didn't. It worked out great with Twitch, and that's probably CLG's fault. That is CLG's fault.
Now that I think about it, I think Caitlyn would have been a better pick just so you get one winning-ish
exactly.
lane. Yeah.
Caitlyn Karma can contest Ashe, even though that's pretty much an even lane. Slightly winning for...
I guess actually, I don't know, because if you pick just an even lane that's going to be worse in the mid-game, with 2 losing lanes, it's not that good either. They just went full late game with Ori Twitch.
I feel like that's such a high risk.
Yeah, I mean, either way, you're not coming out ahead.
Okay. We talked about a lot of players in this game. Overall, I thought Lorlo played like a monster. Reignover didn't play as well as I expected them to, but he was able to get carried.
Yeah.
At least the second game.
Yeah.
The real thing is, what happened to Golden Glue that second game?
I don't really remember him doing anything too noteworthy. It was more like Aurelion Sol just pushed in Rome and killed Kha'Zix over and over. And
he got hit with 17 Ashe arrows.
Well, yeah, I mean,
literally his
6A was hitting everything.
No, yeah, but he would flash into the Ashe arrow. He'd go
I didn't see that play.
He'd go top. He literally ulted. He did the flashy play, the sombrero. He ult flash.
Wait, I saw that. I was like, why didn't he just Q again?
Exactly.
He just could have waited a second for cooldown.
Yeah, and so because of that, what happens?
That was dumb.
50 seconds later, Ashe comes mid, arrows him. Oh wow, he doesn't have flash. I wonder what happens. He dies and takes someone else with him, and CLG gets dragon. And then right there, I was like, if TL loses, it's they lost all of anything they could have had because of that play.
To be fair, if that's the worst thing you're gonna have to say about Golden Glue at the end of a series, that's actually fine in my mind.
He whiffed the ulti mid lane.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the sombrero play.
No, he did that, and he whiffed the ulti mid lane. I thought that...
Yeah, but, so, I mean, with what else happened that game, think about it, what is,
I think the good stuff is that he was ahead in CS off the Aurelion Sol roams. Some people might have tried to match the roam, but he did a good job being able to get ahead.
Yeah.
He's a role player.
Well, that's what I'm saying, is, generally speaking, if Golden Glue fucks up a couple times in a couple plays, and that's the worst thing you have to say about him, I think that's actually not that bad. Assuming that Reignover stops feeding and playing Kha'Zix like an idiot, and Lorlo keeps playing like this and Piglet keeps playing like this, if
oh my god, that's I think okay, if you're a TL fan, you aspire for more, right?
Of course, I'm a TL fan. all I'm saying is he didn't get stomped in lane, he didn't feed his brains out in any of the matchups, he wasn't down a ton of CS, and he didn't fuck up a team fight horribly.
He whiffed an Oriole. Literally, they would have won the game if the Oriole hit.
Yeah, okay.
Anyone but the ground.
Okay, you're right. That was bad.
I'm telling you, I like Grayson, dude. I went on a team with him. I like both the mid laners and TL. I'm gonna say he didn't play that well this series. But I will say, with both Reignover and Golden Glue, playing not too great in the second game, they were still able to win, which should speak volumes about their ability to carry on that team. I think their team is a lot better than I originally thought. I will confidently put them in top 4 at the end of the season.
I'm down with that. And I think CLG might, if one team's going to drop out of the top 4 between CLG, TSM, C9, and TL, I actually think there's a chance at CLG.
I think even if CLG drops top 4, they'll be top 6. I have no.
Yeah, they're in playoffs. I think all like the 4 old boys, clubhouse, whatever people call it, the cabal.
They're top 4 for a reason.
All those top 4 teams that people usually see are going to be top 6. Are going to be in playoffs.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. So moving on to NV FlyQuest. This series.
Okay, going in, you don't have any expectations from Envy, right? They're missing Lyra.
That's the big thing is like you could at least be a little excited with Lyra coming in, but with what was crazy too was that they listed Alex Ish as the jungle sub, but then put him mid and put Ninja at jungle, so they displaced 2 players, and I was like, is that better? Like I can't see that being better. Unless Alex just literally can't play jungle.
Oh, I think Ninja has a lot more experience playing jungle, so I think. Like, for some reason, I feel like Chinese mid laners just play a lot of Lee Sin in the jungle. Like,
you mean Korean?
Oh, like people who used to play in the LPL.
Oh, okay. I was
because like not only Ninja, who else did that? The EDG sub ended up just.
Koreans play a shitload of Lee Sin jungle too. Like if they ever get off roll and they're Piglet is a god Lee Sin. It's so funny.
And so I'm like okay with that. Honestly, but the thing is, it's like going in. The expectation for me. Okay, where'd you place Envy?
I placed Envy 10. I put Envy last place.
I put Envy last place too.
Yeah.
So
I put FlyQuest 8th. What'd you put FlyQuest?
It'd be between like I think it was 7 to 9.
Okay.
So I don't have like an exact tier list. So
yeah.
Explain to the viewers why would you put Envy last?
Envy is last because they literally, with the improvements in like the rest of the rosters, most likely they only got a better jungler in Lyra, and they got a worse AD carry. I think Laud's better than Apollo.
Yes.
And so they were barely. They made the playoffs last split, but they were tanking really hard.
Yes.
The only reason they made it was because the first half of their split was pretty good, and like they just show no like. I didn't see any positives. Like they don't have like top 5 players at any position except for maybe Lyra, but we're not sure about that yet. And then they didn't show like a great understanding of macro play. Their pick ban phase was super bad.
Oh god, their drafts were literally how many times can I flex one single pick? I'm gonna flex Trundle from top to support and back again, and I'm just like,
they would literally have drafts with like 3 flex picks, and they would like run Karma like it was so.
There was one game where they flexed into a bad matchup to pick another champion that was bad in the matchup. And as soon as I saw that...
Wait, you're talking about the Pantheon game, right? Where they could have put Pantheon top in the playoffs, and they put it mid?
Don't remember. All I remember was it was like a frustrating draft phase to watch, because I understand. Honestly, them Ninja and ᵐᵉ having similar AP champion pools is actually really interesting for certain drafts.
Right.
But it's only interesting if you like draft well around it. It's not like, you know what, I'm gonna play Karthus into Anivia. I'm gonna give Echo Fox the only champion they ever have won late, like early game on, which is Frog and Anivia, and I'm gonna play a matchup where I get countered, which is Karthus.
It's like in baseball, if someone throws a changeup, it can be good.
Yeah,
it's a changeup. That's what a flex pick should be. But like Envy literally threw changeups 90% of their pitches. You're like, what the fuck are you doing? It's not a changeup. This is your basic play. You just flex random shit. I'm not gonna like it loses its value. Like I don't know. It was insane watching them last split. Anyways, moving into this split, literally all they did was get a jungler.
Okay.
And downgrade 80k.
All right. So I will say this. I've told Mark this separately. I think Hakuho is really underrated as a support. I think I see him as solo queue. The guy plays really, really well. The only I'm not gonna even say downside. The only thing about him that I know is that he watches a lot of anime.
So I heard that
a ridiculous amount.
Last season, like their team environment was awful. Like Laud had no one to talk to because there was the Korean clique with the Korean coach and the 3 Korean players. Then there was Hakuho in his room watching anime, and then Laud would just sit around like.
Exactly, and so I'm not going to say it's a bad thing, but I'm going to say, like, ideally you want everyone on the team to synergize together.
Yeah.
But in terms of in-game play, when I watch ranked solo queue, all the supports I want on my team, Hakuho is, like, very, very high up there. He's, like, top 2, top 3 of any player I want in North America. So I think his play is really good. And I think that, generally, even in LCS, I thought his play was surprisingly good. He's part of the half of the reason that that Lod and Hakuho ended up doing so well with almost no resources. Literally no resources from their team.
Yeah, I was on the other side. I thought it was more Lod contributing to their bot lane, but regardless, their bot lane with no help from their team in draft or in like other than the flex picking thing, in draft or like outside the game, it sounded like they actually did all right, all things considered.
Yeah, no, and I think that's the one shining thing about Envy that I think would I'd take into consideration. Going over to FlyQuest, they got. In my opinion, this FlyQuest is literally a talk about who cares about the skill of your players? Can you win games? Shut up. Can you win games? Do you know how to shot call to win games? If the answer is yes, you believe in FlyQuest. So, what did today's series tell me?
That they can still shot call.
That they can still shot call, absolutely. Now, what did this game also tell me? It told me a team with Alex each mid lane can get a 7k gold lead on FlyQuest. That's a little bit upsetting.
It's like one thing to me so like game 2 is the one where they fell behind. It's one thing to me if some crazy shit happens and there was that outplay bottom where it was a 3-for-0 and like you fall behind off that. That's one thing. But they were literally losing lane matchups all across the map. They were down CS in every lane, I think, that game.
Yeah, but if you look at the first game,
Balls was down CS in that matchup too, I think.
I think the way you see this team comp, this is going to be so stupid. So the way you see this team is that what happened the first game? High went off because he got jungle pressure and he went off individually, right?
Well, yeah, that was
And then High with the jungler control the pace of the game. The entire game is just High plays is like the guy on the chessboard moving people around, and then they win the game. Easy, right? Yeah. Second game, High gets solo killed. He goes in for I think it's a solo kill. He goes in for a play.
Well, because he doesn't know what Malzahar does.
Yeah.
I guess, because he got solo killed super early in the matchup.
Yeah, so anyways, he played badly. He got solo killed, and it's a struggle for them to come back, you know? And I feel like if High falls behind, it's hard to shot call from a losing position, especially when you're losing and your team is losing.
Yeah.
And I think that's...
So I'll agree that's definitely something that FlyQuest probably has over every other potentially bottom tier team in the league, is that I think that, yes, FlyQuest can win from behind.
Yes.
Which is something that that's why I had them 8th of my bottom tier teams. I thought that they're going to beat the bottom tier teams just for that reason, that like neither team plays super well, but their advantage. Any
of these four teams that we're about to watch are going to. Closing games is like they must have a phobia for that, because they struggle really hard to get away from that.
They're like, yeah, I love long games. And High's the opposite. He's like, no, I'm going to suicide Baron, and either I win the game here or I lose the game.
And I love him for it. That's why I'm a fan of FlyQuest.
Yeah, I mean, I agree that they do have that advantage over bottom tier teams, but the other thing they don't have is that they are probably individually the worst team in the LCS. I think like they're worse than Immortals, they're worse than Envy, they're worse than Echo Fox. Like, they're going to lose individually every single game almost, I think. And that's not to say they won't win early games, because they can win early games. But
I probably agree with that. I will say, though, a lot of people sleep on Moon. And
he had a good series.
Yeah, and he had a good series, and that's really, really good, because everyone I talked about Moon has nothing but stellar things to say. So a lot of people remember Moon for choking in LCS, choking in important games, and that's something that he does. Similar to Golden Glue, in the challenger scene, whenever he had an important series, dude, Grayson would just like not play his best. You know?
He got destroyed by Froggen.
Destroyed by High, you know. Okay, anyways, Moon was similar. When he comes to the LCS, doesn't play too well. But if you know anything about Moon from behind the scenes, Moon is like everyone super highly respects Moon. I talked to David Lim, which is the TL coach. He thinks Moon's one of the smartest jugglers he's ever worked with. I talked to Acadian. Acadian is like, if we rate people by mechanics and like game knowledge or like game sense, or like how smart they are in game, I'm like maybe an 8 to his like 7 or 6, but his brain is like an 8 to like my like 5 or 6. Like, he highly respects Moon's ability to think and like play about the game, and he'll do stuff like skipping camps to hit a certain timing to gank, and a lot of junglers won't do that. They just know how to do the most efficient route. And I think that if combining that with High is something that could work in their advantage. And I think if Moon does overcome this ability to choke during games, which I think he had a good series today.
Yeah, and I think the good game to look at too is game 2, where he actually got super heavily target banned. They banned Rengar, Rek'Sai, Lee, Kha'Zix was also banned. They took Elise in the first rotation. He ended up on Graves, just like because he had to pick something. Mm-hmm. And Graves is like no early game pressure. He fell behind, but he still farmed pretty well. And then like once he started hitting his items, he started carrying. There's like the team fight at Baron that the game turned around. He like zoned out 3 people, almost killed the entire backline of Envy. And then in the bot lane dive, he got a triple kill. And like generally speaking, he played well given the fact that he was super heavily target banned and like. It wasn't his fault that the team fell that far behind. I mean, like, he did miss his ult pretty heavily in that bot lane 3 for 0, but other than that...
I don't think it's his fault that he fell super far behind. I just high game slow kill him.
Yeah, that's just bad.
It's like, okay, but the thing is, maybe that stuff happens. You know, Ryu got solo killed in his game too. And, And I think sometimes it happens, and FlyQuest has the X factor of being able to come back.
Yeah.
And that's... gonna be something. If you're a FlyQuest fan, you gotta pray to that. You literally gotta every night when you go to sleep, make a shrine, and it has to be of high, and you just gotta kneel down and be like. Do you respect
anyone else on the team? Other than like a little bit of Moon. And
I respect everyone on the team, with the exception of I need to know more about Balls and Outtech. So Outtech for me is always Outtech is hard for me to judge because Kitty never had like super good things to say about Outtech, and Outtech himself has been stuck in like Challenger scene after Challenger scene, and everyone's like he's so good, and I'm just like, why is he good? And people are like, oh, it's because he can farm the 300 CS and like carry the game.
His best time was on Gravity when they had a bunch of weird picks that threw people off, and he played Sivir in the meantime, and then would carry late.
Exactly. And so for me, Outtech was always a player where people just overhyped super hard. It was like, oh, this is the guy that can like hit like 600 CS and carry on Sivir or Tristana. I'm just like, oh wow, so he can play the game. Like that's cool. But honestly, his play has been not bad. I thought he's played okay, and I need more games to see where he lies. And similar, and Balls himself, I've heard that. In terms of like his own play, it may not be great, but High can micro him really well, and like he works with High really well.
So it's ᵐᵉᵐᵉ, but the NA version.
I don't know if that's true. I think at the very least, I'm gonna say their synergy is really good together, and so even if he does end up losing lane, like he might get like way better TPs than the other team. And to be honest, in sometimes during these take matchups, if you have the better TP, you're just gonna win the game.
Right, and I think that's maybe true for the bottom tier teams, but not against the top tier.
Agreed. So, which is why I think their highest highs are going to be if they can play. If they get to the second round of playoffs, that's they will not get higher.
I think outside chance of the playoff team, but I don't have him there.
Oh, and I think Lemonation's actually underrated.
Really, I heard he like from people in solo queue, he just like fucks up all the time.
Oh, I think mechanically he may have gotten worse over time, but I think that. Sometimes he just knows how to put you in really bad positions. Like he's the type of guy
he was always like really annoying to play against.
Yeah, he's super annoying to play against because you're just like, God, this guy is he even playing well? He's just pissing me off. Like so he'll like trade like 2 health pots for your AD health pot, and then like the AD will get mad that your support's not doing it as well, and then like
yeah, he would always do this thing where he would like sit in river just out of lane and like in the brush when he had a bot lane priority, and then you would never know if he was invading your jungle or just sitting in that brush, and so like you wanted to punish the AD carry for being alone, but you never could.
Yeah,
and so like he would always fuck with you. And you never like could read where he was.
Not to mention, I felt like he had really good specific picks, like his Morgana.
Yeah,
he like I remember he's one of the people who introduced like Zyra to the scene as well. I think that he is also one of those people that people don't really look at, you know, when they think about the strengths of a team. Yeah. Maybe he's just a really good role player, but I think he may be a little bit better than a standard role player.
All right. Do you have anything else to say on this series? Because honestly, I don't. It's barely a series.
I think it's nice that Envy was able to get a gold lead in one of the games. Sure, it's against FlyQuest, but that's like their direct competition. They want to be able to rise up above the 6-10 or 7-10.
In that sense, this is a really important game, even though it's week 1. That like you're already battling for not going into the promotion tournament, which is like something somewhat in the future for some of these teams. And so, like I agree, winning this is really important for FlyQuest, but I like Envy doesn't even have their jungler, which is their biggest player. So
yes, exactly. So there's not much. I just want to talk about the teams.
Okay. Anyways, Echo Fox Immortals. This.
Yes!
These are the only 2 series so far that have gone to best of 3s, and they have been a little bit of a shit show, both the 2 coming up.
Oh, so I told the chat before you got here, the 60-minute interlude that we had that during these types of like what people dub fiestas, I just stopped writing in my journal because there's really nothing to write about. It's like How? Whoa! I should write. Oh, Looper TP'd the top lane, but instead of going for the other inhib tower or the other Nexus tower in the Nexus, he ran away, and his team tried to help him running away instead of starting Baron. That's really interesting. But it really, it's just like I just felt like.
Yeah, late game. It's just like you after like 30 minutes, you just stop waiting, and you're like, how's the game end? Because everything else is just a fiesta until then.
Yeah, exactly. So let's just talk important stuff. So first of all, first impressions of Immortals.
Okay.
First game in the LCS.
Not super thrilled. So this was one of the teams I said like I had no idea where they're gonna stack up, and I'm not super impressed. Cody looks okay, but I don't really like at all. Yes. I hate the Morgana counter pick into Malzahar. It looks terrible. I don't think they knew about Lulu. One thing I heard was that Ale got in 2 days ago and is like jet lag. They have no scrims. They have no idea what's good.
That's what I'm saying. Like he got a really late visa, so they tweeted. Their like manager tweeted that he just got the team together for food 2 days ago, and I was just like, oh, so they lose. Like, but and they ended up winning this game, like maybe clawed through it, like literally skin of their teeth kind of deal, but they didn't end up winning, so they have something for them, but I'm with you, dude. This team, what happened? Like maybe, like the one shiny thing was going to be Dardoch, right?
Yeah, and to a degree it was, but he got out jungled by Acadian, and then he just had a better team at team fighting, which is why I think Dardoch looked better. And
I think Pobelter is a player that will like step up and maybe a little above the level of his team, but he needs his team to meet him halfway.
Yeah, he's not going to drag his team to like success.
Yeah, but Bjergsen is the type of guy who will do that. Like,
yeah.
Bjergsen will be like, "You're coming with me. I'm playing Syndra.
We're getting playoffs. We're going to beat a team in playoffs, and then after that, I don't know what's going to happen. But god damn it, I'm doing that."
Exactly. Like he'll pick LeBlanc, he'll pick Syndra, 1v9, force you to win the game.
Yeah.
But Pobelter is the type of guy who's like, "I'm going to play well this game."
Yeah.
You know? But you guys have to help me out a little bit. Like, give me a little bit of support here and there, and like give me a little bit of support, and I'll play well, and I'll like do more than the other guy. But that's not.
I mean, honestly, the reason they won this series, and here comes the hate, but like, is because Keith. They won this series exclusively because of Keith. Because he gets caught nonstop. With the game that they were doing well on the top side of the map, Echo Fox, Keith was dying all the time on the bot side of the map. The game where like they're winning, he starts getting caught out of nowhere by Varus arrows, and they just throw up Baron.
God.
The game where like the game that they were supposed to win, the third game, he just starts getting caught by Fizzults. It's just like nonstop. This dude, like I don't know. I love Keith as a person.
My personal opinion is that I just think so. Originally, what is Echo Fox's biggest problem going the last split? They had terrible
shot calling.
Absolutely terrible. I remember talking
even early game shot calling. Yeah, like KFO just froze every fucking wave he could. They'd be getting 4v5 tower dive. He could TP in and be like, "Nah, dude, I got this freeze going. I'll see you in 40 minutes." He's like, the game's ending. He's like, "Nah, I'll be there."
So like the way I see it was that Echo Fox at least solved one of their problems in shot calling. Their early game looks great. Acadian 5-5 first bloods, and he's proactive. He looks good, and because he like with him looking good, Froggen looks good too. Early game, it's not just a farm fest. He can do stuff.
Yeah, but the thing is like...
But like late game, there's still a problem.
Yeah, I mean, the sad part is when you look at Echo Fox's late game shot calling this series, the best plays they made were like the really fucked up scramble plays and not the set plays. So like, not when they're setting up around Baron with vision control and baiting you in and engaging. Those were their worst late game plays. Their best ones were like, we went top lane and then we stopped and hid. And then we win again. Yeah. It's like, if those are your best late game plays, you're not going to win many games. Yeah. Because you need to be able to do the basic stuff first.
Oh, and I remember they get a pick on Baron. They set the Baron, and then they get pushed off. And then they're just like, okay, well, I guess we got pushed off. And I'm just like, wait, what? Because they went back to Baron to clear like one ward in the pick, got chunked again. And they're just like, you know what? I don't even want Baron. What is this play? You got like the pick. You like if you're a team, you pray to God you get a pick at like the 35-minute mark.
That's like let's go.
Yeah, yeah. When you get a pick at the 35-minute mark, you're like, yes, we won the game. Thank God they're stupid. And they got a pick, and they're just like, oh, God, I guess we just get like the Ward and the Baron pick. You know, let's try again.
Let's get more. That's kind of like the trademark Froggen team is like vision control and bait, and then they just do that over and over and over and over. And like sometimes it works, a lot of time it doesn't. But, I mean, part of the problem was last year they almost never got early game leads, which they seem to be getting now, so at least they have, like, that foundation to build on. But I actually think they have a big problem, too, in their draft. Like, just like...
Oh,
their draft...
They banned mid laners. Like, and, like, they're... I don't think that... This is what was weird last year, too. Froggen plays weird mid laners.
He doesn't have like the meta champ. Last year he didn't play Azir, Ryze, Vladimir when those were like the three busted ones that much. Now he's not playing like Syndra and Cassio, like where he's on Anivia all the time.
Yeah, and I'm just like, is Anivia good? No. Like sure, Froggen's Anivia is good, but it's like it should be situational.
That should be like I got target banned, and now I'm going to show you why that was a waste.
No, or it should be like, okay, I'm picking the second rotation where I see their entire team comp, and it's like great situationally for like this situation because their team comp sucks against Anivia.
But they're blinding it.
Yeah, they blind pick it in the first 3 picks. They're just like, here's my last pick of Anivia, and plus with that, I'm gonna waste both my bans in the next rotation, banning out Syndra Cassio, so you can't counter pick me. And now you have to deal with an Anivia, one of the best tier 3 picks in the game. Come at me. And it's like, wait a sec. And you did. Yeah. That's weird.
And I think even worse than the mid lane drafting is the jungle drafting. Like, I don't get why, like, he's picking Graves into Kha'Zix. Like, they banned out their own high tier junglers in the first game. Going the second rotation, there's no junglers picked, and Rengar's banned. And then IMT bans Rek'Sai, and then they ban Elise, and then IMT's like, okay, we'll ban like the other things, and then it's just Graves up. It's just like, why would you pick Graves there?
The thing is,
they banned Elise Lee on their own and just target ban themselves.
The worst thing is, I kind of overlooked this because Acadian just always wins these matchups. And I'm just like, why does he win these matchups? What the heck? His Graves went 12-0 or something.
Yeah, he hard carries. So like, part of me is like, don't mess with it, it's working. And then the other part is me like, wait, your jungle priority is all fucked up.
Yeah, okay.
Maybe you should fix that.
Okay, the way I see it is that at the very least, I find more promise in Echo Fox than I do in the Immortals. But maybe I shouldn't say that. I think Ole needs to gel with the team, right? Never played together, so that sucks for them. I can't say anything about Immortals. You said Immortals are going to be a number 2 to number 10 team.
Yeah.
At the moment, I agree with that. I have no idea where they are. Echo Fox, compared to last year, they're way better. And I think they have a lot of potential because, like I said before, I like how Gabe plays. I actually think, but the one caveat is he gets caught in late game situations like once or twice, but it's not that frequent, and it's after like an extended like weird thing where they're like bouncing or that weird bag. That was really bad. But
yeah,
I like him with the like in lane and throughout the mid game. I think he's solid. I think the 2 rookies they brought on are performing almost the best in the team.
Yeah, and I think I deserve some heat for saying like Acadian was a sideways move basically over hard, and that was dead wrong. Like he is looking like one of the best junglers in the league right now. So like, yeah, I need to shut up, but at the same time, it still doesn't fix like their biggest problems because Keith is still dying and they still have no late game shot calling.
Absolutely. I think if you have to crutch on rapid fire TF to get picks,
oh my god,
then there's a problem with the team. I think that the build itself is good, actually. I think it's situationally good.
But it's like the same thing we were saying about Anivia. Like you're going to this as one of your premier comps.
Yes, and I don't think they have really much practice with it because the way you win with that comp is like they had so many ways to win. Oh, you want to split push with TF? You can do that. You want to push with a top laner? You can also do that. You want to just try to bait some stuff over here? Rapid fire? You can do that. But it's like they try to do this thing, the bait Baron technique. They didn't work. Bait Baron didn't work. Let's hope Cody's son runs close enough to where I can gold card. Oh, he did. Shoot, we got a pick. But wait, that didn't work more than once. That's so weird.
Yeah, and then, they learned.
Yeah, and then after that, it's like they lose. It's like, oh, well, it turns out if you don't do anything for 15 minutes, then it's not very good.
Kind of scale.
Yeah, because I think they don't have much like if their comps are as bad as you say, they don't have really much expertise playing split push in the first place. And then so they really they don't have a style yet. I think they're looking to find their style. At the moment, all you can say is that Acadian plays carries-oriented junglers, and even
But that's what's weird is he's on Rek'Sai like in 2 of those games as opposed to getting him on Rengar or Kha'Zix.
But I think the fact that he can play Rek'Sai is also good for their team. So he's like somewhat flexible. They need to find a way to win.
Yeah.
And I don't know what their style is going to be a couple weeks down the line.
Final thoughts on Immortals, Flame. What'd you think? I was like
underwhelmed.
I was underwhelmed yet impressed a little bit.
Yes.
Yeah, like it's such like a weird state to be in where I'm like, that wasn't good. But that Fiora play was like pretty sick
Yeah,
sometimes.
yeah, okay. So the way I see it is that mechanically, he still got it, dude.
Yeah.
You're like, you thought he was like his old grandpa on crutches when he like just throws the crutches away and starts breakdancing. Like, he's still got it.
It's like those vids where it's like this old guy in like a ton of makeup's really like Kevin Love, and he goes down to some court and he just like jams on like the kids who are like, who's this old guy? But then sometimes he actually is just the old guy.
Yeah, sometimes he does trip on like his like walking stick or something. And so I think that he is better than expected and worse, but maybe the way he gets better is that it's by curbing his bad tendencies, right? And that requires team play. Like, usually the top laner works with the support in the jungle to get better. Yeah. And just like the AD works with the support and the jungle works with the support and the mid lane works with the jungle, right?
Yeah.
But if their support's been there for 2 days, like, who's he working with? Darduck? Yeah, I saw them do it together. You know what their practice was? I played in the game with them.
What was it?
I was playing on a team with his Shinshin, and Darduck camped Flame's lane, and Flame went 10-0.
Well, so they're good at camping Hashinshin. You just gotta translate that.
Yeah, so like,
someday.
If that's their practice, like, I don't think that's great. Like them getting Ole so late sucks for them because they're one of the teams that aren't like, I don't know if they're guaranteed top 6.
No. I think they need the wins right now, which is why this is so big. Actually,
they need the wins early, and so them getting Ole so late really sucks for them. Like, tomorrow they have another series, right?
Yeah. It's again. I don't remember who it's against.
Yeah, I don't remember who it's against as well, but I think that them picking up the win here was so lucky by them, man. So lucky.
Yeah, 2 come from behind victories, just off picks basically, and stuff like that. And Echo Fox not closing.
Yeah, and but if they could steal more wins like this is their dream. Until they get actually good,
which might not even happen.
Yeah, which we're not sure if it's going to happen, but give them the benefit of the doubt because they've had their support for 2 days. They need to steal as many wins as they can. And the same goes with Echo Fox, because even though they have potential to be good, they need to take wins right now too.
Yeah, and thank you, chat. TSM is who they're playing tomorrow.
Oh.
So that's going to be a struggle. I don't think that's going to go well for them, but...
Wait, by them you mean TSM or Immortals?
Oh, Immortals. What? I think it's going to be a struggle. You think TSM is going to struggle against Immortals?
No.
Okay. I was like, what?
but you know, knowing like the law of like LCS, I feel like anytime you say, "Oh no, of course this team's gonna win," there's no way TSM can lose to P1 who's 0-9. It's not gonna happen. And it's like, well, shit. I should just go to Vegas with those words.
You gotta remember the Mord though. Is Darnock ready to pull out the Mord?
No, I'm telling you, like, Darnock's the type of player who like he can get a random lead and just run with it. So. Maybe, but yeah, I agree with you. For the most part, TSM's in the snowball smash tomorrow's game.
All right, last series, Dig versus P1.
Oh, mechanically, Someday is a monster.
I don't even think beyond mechanic. Every way, Someday is a monster.
Yeah.
He plays team fights so well on a tank, and then he plays team fights on Fiora. Like, watch the dragon fight at like 20 minutes in game 1.
Wait, was it? Did you see the Baron fight?
Yeah, that's what that was. If you want to watch how to play tanks, watch Dragon Fight like 20-something minutes in game 1 as he's Maokai. Like he goes in the brush to drop vision. Ryu overextends a little bit. Flash W engage on Maokai. Lock up Ryu, kill him. Keep walking forward to tank more damage while his backline deals with the Scion. And then once he starts getting low, he turns back onto the Scion with his second W to get out of the fight. Like, so good. And then the Baron fight. In game 3.
Did you see the Poppy flank? When he TP behind him.
Yeah, and he got the flash E into the 3-man knockup.
I was just like, this guy is so good. I'm sorry. Like, I know we're like talking up Someday right now, and they did play a really close series. But I'm like, this guy, everyone had to know, is he really a top 3 player like in the world? Based on his yes, he is so good.
Yeah,
absurdly good. Chaser, what are your thoughts on Chaser?
So this is interesting. So game 1, he looked really, really bad, but I actually don't think it was his fault as much as people want to blame him, because like over the course of the series he had some good plays and bad plays, but people keep telling me about game 1 he looked really bad. But like his mid lane gets solo killed against a Ryze, who then starts just invading his fucking jungle nonstop by himself, forcing him off red. Like, that's so tilting to play against. And then the Kha'Zix starts coming in and like fighting him, and so like I thought that sure it didn't look good, but like they lost total mid control game 1.
Yeah,
I
mean I don't know what to think about it. The only play that like I think of something. Wow, this guy's got like he had highlight reels during that series, like actual highlight reels. You put that on Reddit and you'd be like, holy shit, this guy's too good.
We built a highlight reel.
Yeah, exactly.
The broadcast
off like three
just
plays.
off the Fiora game. We're like, all right, highlight reel. Like he got the two kills in the top side early, and then he gets that Baron fight. You're like, ooh.
Okay, but the only thing I remember from Chaser was when Laud makes like the flash of his life. When they're literally running top lane and Laud just like flashes an Ashe arrow that's blind out of the bush, and then like Chaser gets a 2-man kick off, running through an MF ulti. He kicks back their AD carry into their Maokai and secures the fight win. And I'm just like, that was nuts.
That was nuts. And then I think if you want a not nuts game 3 when Someday finally got the Fiora, he and Keen like came to Someday all the time and just kept diving and getting kills, and like he snowballed that side pretty well. And I think just overall he played the series
I think
well.
He played well, you know?
Yeah.
And the thing is like he's not like, if I had to be like, who's a better, Acadian or this guy? And you just like took off their names, I'd be like, I think Acadian's pretty good. I think he's probably better.
Yeah, I think he's. I mean, like based on like
based on one series,
based off
nothing.
the sample size, yes, Acadian looks better.
Exactly, and so I'm not super overwhelmed or like underwhelmed by him. I'm just whelmed, I guess.
My only thing. So the other, let's just keep on Dig for now.
Okay.
Laud is super good.
Played really well.
So I was talking with some people about one thing about Laud, even though he might be in like that kind of mid-tier category, one thing he has that like Apollo and like a lot of the other people in that category don't have is like carry potential. Like straight up mechanically I'll carry you sometimes. And he did that in game 3. Where like he just like won the 2v2 bot lane fight. He survived late games. Like,
The last team fight where
which especially actually was nasty too. In that team
that
fight.
was really good.
The flash to get the angle, all that was sick. But like I think that's something Laud has over a lot of other people, and that's why I put Dig pretty high up. Was because unlike a lot of the like bitch it out while our Korean tops carry us, Laud actually has legitimate carry.
Yeah, if you camp for his lane, I think him and Special can go off. You know.
Yeah.
And I think that's really good. Wasn't there one game where like Chaser did camp for them? Or?
Yeah, he came down a couple times in I think the first or second game. No, not the first because they were losing the first pretty hard. I think it was the second game. But he came down a couple times and they were like they converted the kills and it went well.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are sleeping on this bot lane. Like I think the level of bot lane duos in NA right now is not very high. Like they either lack synergy between a lot of them or just like they're not very good. And I think Laud and especially are going to be top 5.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
And it's like maybe that's a sad thing for me to say, but I think that's just the nature of the league we're in right now.
Yeah.
But because, like, honestly, if you think of top 5, like, top laners, for instance, you'd be like, oh my god.
Who do I say? There's so many.
Who do you start with? Like, you start with Someday and then go to, like Lorlo played his mind off. Like, even Hanser played really well today. Yeah. Like, just, like it's so hard.
Impact,
and then when you go to AD bot lane duos, you're going to be like, okay, who do I start with?
Look good.
Let's go with Double Lift. Wait, shit, he's not even in the league anymore.
Arrow, maybe?
Arrow played okay. So it's just like, oh.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. The bot lane overall looks really lackluster, so maybe Laud and Special take over. Late game shot calling though for Dig looked really bad. Like
but
they're so passive.
They don't have a translator, so it's like hard for me to be real. You know, they were hiring a translator 3 days ago.
Yeah.
I was just like, excuse me, and the reasoning was it was like, oh, our translator got visa issues. He can't come in from Korea. I'm just like, okay, that's cool. So, like, there's always something with Dig teams that, like, makes it really hard for me to be like, oh, of course they're going to do well. This is one of the teams I'm like, they got like, a world-class top player. They got this, like, super hyped-up jungler. I'm just like...
But can they talk to each other?
Yeah, like, can they communicate? Like, can they say, like, I'm ganking? Like, I don't even know, you know? And so, but I think their early game, like, they can get leads. And they can kind of convert the leads a little bit, but they struggle to close out. Like, it's all 4 of these teams suck at closing out games.
But the thing about Dig versus like the other, like when I watch Echo Fox and like Immortals, like it just looks like they're like, what do we do? Dig just looks like they kind of know what to do, but they're just too safe. Like they'll, like the game that they gave up, like Azir was like 9-0 or whatever, like absolutely insane.
That was
hard carry that
disgusting.
game. They should force them to walk into Baron and peel or just burn it down. They should do something.
Yeah, it's like when you're a Azir starts solo killing the enemy mid laner, a champion that just sucks in lane to like 2 items. Like you already know the other team should be in the back. I thought the game was over. That game,
it should have been.
Okay, when they sieged me, it was 3-11. Remember, they got the mid tier 2. That siege was nasty. They they killed Elise, who came up to Cocoon. Elise can't do anything, right?
No.
In these situations. And the best thing is, Someday changed his item itemization that game.
I didn't see that.
He realized that they were going for like a very like group up like pokey style comp. He went Cinder Hulk into like MarkZ into ZZ Rod. So he had a ZZ Rod and I was like, I hate ZZ Rod as an item, but if you're grouping up the Siege, it's not bad.
Well, I think the problem was they started grouping up too much.
Oh yeah, maybe.
Because
I think it's okay if you convert, but if you don't know how to convert, then it's bad.
Yeah. So this is what happens in the game. They should control Baron and like force something.
Yes.
They fuck up. Keen gets poked out once, and then P1's like, all right, we'll take Baron. And they just force Baron super hard. They get a free Baron. They take a million turrets.
So
they get back in the game.
And they get older, and it's like, oh my god.
And eventually, when Dig gets their own Baron, Someday pushes in bot lane and then puts down a ZZ Rock portal, and instead of like 4-1ing or something or letting the ZZ Rock go on its own or anything like that, they group up in the ZZ Rock lane, and then Corki just keeps poking them, and they never take the bot.
The thing is, ZZ Rock's really bad right now. Like, it's only useful as a siege item because it doesn't do like, it has like no health, does nothing.
Well, it dies really fast. But
yeah, and unless it hits the tower.
But that's what I'm saying is like, so they have Baron buff. If you put Maokai with Poppy and that's it, like with the damage reduction on the creeps, like can't Poppy just like
no
you don't think so?
The one Q kills the ZZ Rot thing.
Yeah, the Q will kill the ZZ Rot, but it's not gonna do anything to the creeps. Like why?
Yeah,
would you,
that's true.
But why would you go to this fucking ZZ Rot lane with a Corki?
Yeah,
the Corki's gonna kill the ZZ Rot. It doesn't make sense.
I'm not gonna justify it.
Yeah.
You're right. No, but the thing is, it's like I don't expect these teams. The part of late game shot calling is being able to work with each other.
Right. Like,
and everyone's on the same page. They understand how to play the game. It's obvious these last 4 teams are all struggling with that idea.
And I think the big thing too is like when it's late game, it's really hard to have like a high who's gonna be like, this is what we all do. Stop what you're doing.
Yeah.
Usually there's a conversation, and when you don't have the ability to like have any conversational flow, it's not like it's not like I don't think that's the best idea. Someone comes up with an idea and everyone's like, I don't know how to argue, so sure, let's go bot lane.
It's probably just like let's just do this play. Like I think we can do this. Go here, and then everyone just goes, oh wait, why didn't that work?
Yeah. So I think it's the kind of thing where someone was like, group bottom, and everyone's like, yeah, and then it wasn't working, and no one was like, why are we doing this? Because they like literally can't have a conversation and be like, no, I think it's better if we do this, and then you can rotate up and blah blah blah. So I don't know.
So, what are your thoughts of Keen as a player?
Keen is like
garbage. What?
Whoa!
I didn't say that. That's so weird.
I don't agree with that at all.
Okay, keep going.
I think Keen is just like. Keen's just Keen, dude. He's like, he's nutty. He's like the most unassuming nutcase you ever met. Like, you'll talk to this guy and he'll be like very polite and cute and nice and kawaii, and then like
that was just like a joke. Honestly, I think Keen. The biggest thing about Keen, and if you talk to Double Lift about Keen is like the type of guy who is really random. Like,
yeah, that's what he's the most unassuming nutcase you'll ever meet.
Like he is a random type of player. He's a player where some people just will not want to play with him on the team. And Double F literally said, I would never want to play with Key on my team because he will never play meta champs. He only wants to play counter picks to meta champions. And the thing is, I think that has its own... I'm the type of player who plays non-meta champions. So
Double F hates you.
Yeah, exactly. Double F hate playing on a team with me. But I'm the type of guy who can respect someone who can do that. However, I think he takes it like too far sometimes. Like he's just like the type of guy who's like, what's the lowest win rate mid laner? Oh shit, Urgot? Let me just show you why he's not that bad.
So like the funniest story that I remember from my time working with Keem back on Curse Academy was like Caston was like a decent counter pick to a lot of stuff.
Yes.
And like he refused to play it. He's like, I'm not gonna play it.
Really?
Curse Academy. Because this was like the reworked Kassadin where he just got like the really short jump thing. It was not the busted Kassadin.
Oh, okay.
So it was like an okay counter pick situation.
Yes.
And I forget the matchup that he didn't want to play. It might have been
like a Zero Victor or
something. something like
Lulu,
that.
Probably something one of those.
Yeah. It was one of those things where it's like it's fine there. He didn't want to pick it. Whole week they don't practice it because he doesn't want to do it. Team's like, all right, that's fine. The night before the tournament, with no scrims left to play, he's like, I'll do Kassadin. And Saint like lost his fucking mind. Saint was like, are you kidding me, Keen? I'm gonna kill you. Why do we not practice this at all if you're fine? Like he just like, it was so funny because like I wasn't really coaching that team. I was just like in the house with them, and I was like, all right, good luck to you.
The thing is like I think Keen just needs like Keen will play the picks no one knows how to play against and then do super well. The Azir game, I'm sure that guy like. He has no idea how to play the Corki Azir match. He gets solo killed, and then he just goes off, and I'm just like, King went off.
Settle down, dude. So, like, what's interesting about that game was there were a ton of mid bans. There was Malzahar's a little bit of a flex. There was LeBlanc, and then there was Ryze, Cassio, Syndra, Ori.
Yeah.
So every control mage that's meta right now is banned out. And then Corki is like, all right, it's kind of control magey. It's like they play it with exhaust until some assassin, stuff like that. And
I mean, I think right now it should say something that all the NA mids don't play Talia. And I think she's
which is crazy because
really
I think she's up there with like the good.
It's crazy because it's like all the other regions drop TF for the most part for Talia because Talia is TF with a good laning phase.
Yeah,
and because of how important laning and pressure is early, she just fulfills the same role.
Yeah.
TF has better ganks, it's point and click, but she can pressure the lane and roam pretty well.
Yeah, she can actually bully someone.
And so every other region picks up Talia. In where are Talia players? Nowhere. Absolutely nowhere. You remember the last time I remember a Talia player? Paul Belter played Talia. And then afterwards I asked him, what do you feel about Talia? He's like, I don't think I'm that good on Talia. Like, I don't think I thought I played pretty bad. I'm just like, okay. And he's the last person to try it. No one plays Talia in this region.
So, there's only been one game out of Bjerg and Jensen so far. So there's a chance, like, if there's ever a mid-heavy ban
I
phase,
think both of them will
there's a chance they'll pick it out. But other than those two, I don't know who's playing it. And, like, this was just super weird where, like, all the mids were banned. No one has any idea what the matchup is. And this is one of the things I was talking about this season where, like, you're going to get these situations where you don't know the matchup. Neither team knows. Neither player knows the matchup, and it's just like, how well can you play that?
It's great. I love it.
I actually love that too.
I think there's certain players that I think will adapt really well to those situations. Keen and Link are two players I know can do that because Link used to play like Irelia mid, literally the most random mid lane picks possible, like Keen. And then there's players who are like really by the books. Okay, well, someone more along the lines of. Oh, actually, Ninja's the type of person who also plays super
Ninja's random, yeah.
He is famous for his Cho'Gath mid lane in LPL. Like, so this guy just plays everything, And then there's players. I'm trying to think of a player who's like I feel like very rigid, but still really good.
Yeah.
I don't really know. Maybe Popebutter falls under that. Like I think he plays, but I also think he can
from the mid lane. From the mid lane position, I'm not sure.
Yeah, but there are types of players like that.
Yeah.
In other positions, it'd be probably a lot more likely. Like if someone throws a Ziggs at you, the AD's just like, what do I do?
Yeah.
But in mid lane, I feel like maybe a lot of them are more flexible than I thought.
Yeah, I feel like just like in the game, a lot of them like optimize things. Like I feel like Bjerg's one of those players where he like knows the matchup down to like a science. Like I need this much CS at this time and this thing, and then I ward here and then that, and like he's like a beast at that. And I'm sure he'll be fine if like people throw some wonky shit at him. But just there's two different types of players where like Keen, is gonna be better in random shit, and like Bjerg, if you get him in a stable matchup, generally is like a god at that.
I think though that just changes how all these drafts work out. Like some teams are banning. You look at these drafts; they're all over the place. Some teams are banning a lot of mid laners because their mid laners don't play that or whatever.
Yeah.
Some teams are banning a lot of junglers. Some teams are banning a lot of ADs, so they want to do the pinch, right?
Yeah. Well, the AD pinch is a really obvious one.
Yeah. The AD pinch is probably the most common drafting maneuver right now. So, and then there's teams that banning a lot of top lanes. I think that's the worst. Banning top lanes literally gets you like almost nowhere.
I don't understand. There's like so many tanks.
Yeah,
and then there's so many carries.
There are tank counters and there's carry counters. I'm just like, you can't ban 10 champions. I mean, both teams do. You can, I guess. But
I'm okay with like a Maokai, Camille, Fiora ban.
Yeah, and then
like those are like the three that I'm like kind of alright. But even Maokai, I'm kind of like, you're still gonna play against Poppy
and
or
then whatchamacallit, the support bans are like almost necessary because support's the disgusting position right now. Let's just play a mage that somehow does more damage to our mid laner.
What's so funny to me is everyone's like, dude, Malzahar's crazy. Let's nerf Malzahar. But like once you nerf Malzahar, like someone's gonna play Brand. Someone's gonna play some other shit as support. It's gonna keep being mages until you fix support itemization. Because support right now it's like, can you build Leandri / Rylai's or something? Like you're a great support pick.
Yeah, it's disgusting. Support went from one of the most diversified roles before the lane swap patch to a disgusting like mage oriented ranged role where you can't play melee champions unless you want to lose your bot lane.
Yeah, aside from Tom Kench apparently.
Yeah, aside from Kench who can situationally counterpick certain comps, and actually I think a lot of the players are like Kench oriented,
Yeah, all right, like, we got to hit P1 real quick.
Okay.
We haven't talked at all about P1. I mean, we talked about them a little bit because they played Echo Fox. This series in particular, I actually I didn't like their ban strategy where like they stopped Someday from playing carries. And like obviously he still plays tanks really well, but then as soon as he got his hands on Fiora in the third game, it kind of hurt them a lot because he just like snowballed topside and like just shit on Zig. And I think Zig's like really a capable player.
I think he is an ideal role player.
Right. I think he's
actually the ideal role player.
Ideal top lane role player.
Yes.
I think Akuhi's like the mid lane role player.
Yeah. But then like you give him a matchup and if the other team messes up when he was playing Maokai, in the first he gets 202, runs with the game. They can't do anything.
Yeah.
And I think he is a great role player.
Yeah, I think he's a great role player. And I just thought their draft kind of put him in bad spots. Like the game 3, obviously leaving up to Fiora. I didn't like banning Malzahar randomly because you could force a 3 OP situation up if you target the Fiora again, and then there's Ryze, Maokai, and Malzahar up, and you're guaranteed 2 of them. So I thought they could have forced that in the 3rd game. And then in the 1st game, they last picked Sion with Poppy up to go into the Maokai, which I was just like, what the fuck is this?
When I saw the Sion, I'm like, this isn't that effective. But if you know the matchup, it's actually kind of I think the matchup itself is actually really wonky. It's like possible, but you have to be like such a good Sion.
I mean, he got destroyed. Oh, not as destroyed as tanks get destroyed.
Yeah. No, I'm telling you, like maybe if you're like a premier Sion player, you can play that matchup.
What was that dude from China?
Oh, I don't remember.
You remember, like, on World Elite, he was just awful, but he played Sion and didn't matter because he just died and used his passive back when Sion was good.
Oh, God, that's a top lane player. Oh, my God. I don't even remember. But there was a Sion main in North America where legit everyone just banned Sion because he played in the top in their support role, and he would always do well. And because his Sion was unbelievable.
Yeah.
But, like, that's not Zig.
Luka, yeah.
Oh, Luka, yeah. That's not Zig, right? Like Zig is the type of player where if he's playing carries, what's he great on?
GP,
Jace and GP. This guy got 5 challenges. So last season, Fang was the #1 most challenger accounts with 6. The season before, I think Zig had the most at season 5 with 5, and his most played were Jace and Gameplay. He is one of the best Jace and Gameplay players in the top lane, guaranteed.
Yeah.
But I don't know him for his Sion. I'm not just like, wow, this guy's Sion is so crazy. He just solo kills. He penta kills with his ulti. It's like,
ugh. And what's so sad is if you look at that team fight we were talking about where Someday played really well in game 1, look at what the Sion does. So kind of ults in the backline. He gets like a decent Q off on a couple people, and then he just walks around.
He hit like 3 or 4 people with the Q, and I'm like, that's a great Q.
And that's the sad part. That's the best Q you're gonna get.
And like that, and then I was like, wait, they lost the fight already. Like by the time the Q went off.
If that was a Poppy, you're getting like a stun into a wall. You're knocking 3 people up. You're doing a bunch of damage. You're like stopping. Like the Sion's just like Q, and then I walk around.
Yeah, like
So
Sion probably one of the champions got most nerfed for the ZZ Rot change. Like he needed ZZ Rot to even function as a champion.
Yeah, because
and that's pretty depressing.
Yeah,
I do think though at some point if people are going to start picking up Singed, I think it's really good into Maokai, and it's just such a unique type of way to play the game that you can steal wins 100%.
I don't really like it. I saw it in LCK a little bit. Obviously, Looper played it one of the games.
But he was doing great in that game up until his TP was god awful. God awful. That's what I'm saying. The communication sucks.
I just feel like while he abuses tank matchups really hard in lane, I feel like he does so much less in teamfights relative to other tanks if he's not like far ahead.
But you're always gonna get ahead, or you're gonna draw so much jungle pressure to where.
It's like Jace to me in that sense, where like Jace shits on tanks. He's always going to be ahead, but is he going to be far enough ahead?
But the thing is, if Singed intentionally feeds like some of these top laners are doing, then it's fine because he's still very relevant.
I mean, he's always annoying. I'll give you that. Like, he's like Jace sometimes becomes a joke. Singed is always annoying.
Yeah, like Jace is like, oh, I got ganked. I fell 0-2 behind like a Maokai. You're not going to do anything. You're literally
done.
Useless.
Game over. You lose.
Yeah, but with Singed, if you're 0-2, that's just a normal day for you.
Go behind the turret again, dude. What's stopping you?
Yeah, you're doing well if you're 0-2. And so I think that Singed is going to get picked up more as the teamwork gets better because a lot of what makes Singed good is his flank angles and his TPs, you know?
Yeah.
Looper will bring out Singed again. When his team stops, like his team can communicate, he will play Singed. He's a great... When he played Singed, it went like the triple ring. I was like, oh my god, they're going to win this game so easily, and they lost. But,
yeah, no. That's part of what I'm like, dude, he should... That looks great, like a great start, and then it's like, oh wait, Singed isn't doing much.
Well, I think it's literally just because they had the terrible TP. And they can't team fight well together. But a better team can abuse the champion. I think with the plethora of top lane bans, you're going to be seeing more Trundle and more Singed come out as
more tank counters.
Ways to deal with it.
All right, last thing for me for P1, because we already talked about Ryu a good amount. And, yeah. Onori was good too. Whatever.
I think Onori was just above average.
Yeah, I think he's above average.
He's the same as last season, with a little bit better.
I think he's a little more consistent, a little smarter.
For sure. But he's not anything that I'm like, wow, that's surprising. He's just there.
Yeah, I think I think he can go off sometimes. Sometimes he'll do something dumb like that one play where like he just jumped in when Zig was like backing off.
I think mid top got better in terms of like relative skill. They've got more consistent.
Yeah,
and I think that Ryu team fights really well.
Yep.
Arrow is just a good player.
I think Arrow. So I think he has a chance to be arguably the best in NA. Like I see him kind of like in the sneaky like Piglet, like that kind of level. I think he's like already. I think he's better than Piglet in this meta. I think he's like so good on utility.
When I see him play, he got like there's one game where they played against Echo Fox. He got tossed into the team with Singed, and like he just like lifesteal tanked the entire fight.
He was like Varus that time or something.
Yeah, I was like, wait, what? The way his movement and like his team fighting is really good. I'm impressed. I mean, obviously, people tell me he's gonna be some KT. He's like super solid, but like it's a different thing seeing it.
Right. Well, because when you come from KT and you're playing with Someday and Score, and you're like the third threat in the team, that's pretty different than coming to NA where you're not comfortable being like the primary threat, arguably.
Yeah, he's definitely going to be like the first or second hard carry in the team.
Right, and I think his laning phase is still a little suspect to me. They lost a little bit to Lod and Hakuho, and I think they even lost to Keith and Gate in one of the games. They got like solo killed once.
But honestly, I think...
But honestly, I'm okay with that. If he's going to go even most games in lane and then be a team fight beast, with the rest of the roster, I think that's a fine role to have. Do you think he needs to carry harder?
I think he needs to carry harder. It's not an old Immortals situation, right? They don't have Huni and They have like Inori and Zig and Ryu. They have a role player.
Yeah, but he's better than Turtle.
Yeah, I agree. But it's like, but because of that, like, they're not going to get the hard carry from top side.
Right.
So they have to compensate for getting like a decent carry, and I think him and Adrian have not been playing like super well. Adrian is kind of, I don't know, like
he plays. He's the only person I've seen who played Nami so far.
Yeah, he played like one or two games, at least one game.
One, and then I think they banned it one.
Yeah,
game.
he played like one game like Kench, and I'm just like, okay, like I don't know. He's not standing out to me right now as a person who, and he's the person assisting the hardest carry on the team. Potentially. Right. And if he can't get this guy to the point where he's always relevant, that's a problem.
So, what do you think, like, P1's like ceiling is if things go well?
Similar to FlyQuest. I think that...
Oh, really? You think that they're comparable to FlyQuest?
In terms of, like, best case, but... Let me think.
I think they have a higher ceiling than FlyQuest. I would say, like, if things go well, they're, like, in the semifinals and playoffs.
Ooh.
I could see them being like, depending on what else happens with the other teams.
I mean that's essentially what I thought FlyQuest would be.
Okay, so then
they're like semis, but they can't get higher.
Right. So they beat a team. They beat like the 5th place team.
Yes.
I don't know how you think FlyQuest is going to do that. Anyways.
Oh, I'm just saying. Okay, wait, maybe FlyQuest has a lower ceiling. I agree with you on that, but it's like to me it's just like. Yeah, maybe Arrow's the best AD in the region. Maybe. But
right,
I have to see, like, if your bot lane doesn't work well together, it doesn't matter, dude. Double F literally spent, like, years talking about how good Piglet was. And TL would talk me up, Piglet, everyone from TL. Dude, you know how good Piglet is? Piglet, best AD in the region. You have no idea, dude. He does these things with Vayne I've only dreamed about. I still have wet dreams about it. It's unbelievable. This champion, this character, this guy, let me marry him, please. I'll go gay for him. And I'm just like... Who cares? Because if he doesn't work well with the team, it doesn't matter. And I think that may be something that might happen with P1.
Yeah, Piglet had like synergy problems this whole time, but he is a monster.
Yeah, please
Piglet's
talk more about Piglet.
Oh, Piglet is like, let me watch you, but I wouldn't mind if you're probably not the best like for my team. You know what I mean? Like Piglet's the guy you want to watch. But you don't want like necessarily be working.
Oh yeah. No, I feel you. Okay, but I'm serious though. That's what it feels like. People, yeah. I understand Arrow. I'm glad he's got like this. It seems like his work ethic is super good, and that's what makes me feel like it's not going to be that bad. Because if you're telling me he's trying to speak to, I saw his interviews. He's like,
all English interviews.
Yeah, he's doing great in terms of that regard, and I love the dedication, the work ethic. Everything looks great from the outside looking in. And that's something that maybe like Piglet didn't have as much of. And I think that maybe it should be less of a worry to me. But I don't want to, but there is like this off chance I see him and Adrian not working too great together. And he's never been, and with Ryu being a person that may not be great in lane as well, okay, you're going to go into team fighting, right? But if you're going to go into team fighting, that means, and your top lane's not going to smash either. So you're literally just depending on Inori to carry.
The fear is that you end up a couple K down every time you go into mid lane against good teams.
And it's like, okay, so in the situation where that The only way that doesn't happen is if Inori pops off every game. Like, Inori can do that, but you don't want to force a guy to pop off every game, right?
Yeah, and that, like by the same token, the reason I think their ceiling's pretty high is because they also could be in the situation where they work out in bot lane.
Yes.
Ryu's like a little inconsistent, but okay. Zig's a role player, and Inori also has that pop off potential. They have so many people that have that pop off potential that like even when someone's having a bad game, it's unlikely that Inori, Ryu, Arrow, and Zig have all
Then let me ask you, of these last 4 teams,
I like to
which would you say going to playoffs would be normal for them as opposed to?
I think Dig and P1 going to playoffs is normal.
I think only Dig going to playoffs is like just the expectation. The expectations for Dignitas are that they should be like smashing with their roster.
All right. So I say TSM, C9, TL.
No. Not personal expectations. But community expectation is that Dignitas should be the team that just smashes.
Right. They have the biggest like of the teams that imported players. They have the highest like expectations for sure.
Of these four teams, where does Dig lie? Of these 4 teams, Echo Fox, Immortals, Dig, P1.
I think Dig 1, P1 2, Immortals, Echo Fox. That's my 4 in that order.
Okay.
What do you?
Dig, Immortals, P1, Echo Fox, probably. But
it's the same.
I still want to cheer for Echo Fox.
It's the same.
Dude. Yeah. God. I'm sad, dude.
It's okay. You can. It's not too late to switch. It's week 1. You can pick better teams in the top half of the league to root for.
No, shut up.
Like TL.
I'm telling you, Echo Fox is gonna do better than expected. FlyQuest gonna do better than expected. When FlyQuest and Echo Fox play each other in the Spring Slip Finals in Vancouver, I'm gonna look at you and be like, "Wake me up, Mark. Where
Wake me up." Anyways. Let's call it. We're getting a little loopy.
Yeah, we are.
All right, we'll be doing this again tomorrow night, Sunday. We'll be doing it every weekend after the LCS, Saturdays and Sundays. And Sunday night, we'll be doing quick power rankings on where we think people look currently, not like potential upside.
Yes, so we'll be doing a weekly power ranking on every Sunday. And on every Saturday, we'll cover Friday's games. Yep. And so that way, the timelines should be about the same.
Yep, so that's going to do it for post-league time, the first episode. Sorry I was late. I'll try and figure out something with
PLT, guys.
Hopefully we start sooner. Josh, you want to say bye? Thanks for helping out with the stream, covering for me. Bye, Josh. You're my favorite, Josh. All right, that's going to do it. See you guys next time.
Bye, guys.